Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are looking at the NECA Terminator series. Kyle Reese, Human Resistance Soldier. This is it. This is the figure us fans have been clamoring for, begging NECA to make. And I was very excited to see that he was finally here. I guess it all makes sense. NECA has had this Terminator property for a while. They've also held the rights to Aliens for a while, and we've had the rumors coming up that we are going to get some new figures, including some Colonial Marines. And of course, Michael Biehn's characters played major roles in both of those James Cameron productions. So of course, we have to get Kyle Reese in the Terminator line. Very happy and very excited to see Hicks come in the next year. So was this figure worth the fans' wait? Let's take a closer look and find out. As I tried to show off in the opening to this video, Kyle comes with a very, very tiny photograph of Sarah Connor. This is incredibly small, and I am terrified I'm going to lose this. It's just cardboard. It's almost like just a picture taped to or glued to some cardboard, so it's already having some wear issues of trying to put it in his hand. I really don't know what I'm going to do with this, how I'm going to display it. I wish he had a pocket or something he could stick in that would be a little safer. I'm just terrified I'm going to lose this, but it's really not how I want to display him as holding a photograph. If anybody has any ideas of how to make sure this doesn't get lost or destroyed, please comment below and tell me, because I'm terrified this thing is going to go missing. Kyle's other accessory is a little better hidden and a little better stored. Ironically, the photo is very easy to lose and I'm sure is probably going to go lost no matter how hard I try. His other weapon, however, is attached to him. He has his Ithaca 37 shotgun attached to him just like in the movie, or maybe not just like in the movie. It's a little weird here. Now it is permanently affixed by a rope to the character's jacket, but this is a very similar shotgun, or theoretically the same shotgun we got with the battle-damaged Tech-Nor Terminator earlier in this series. So if we bring in its counterpart, this is supposed to be the same gun, but we could tell it is a little bit bigger. There's some extra stuff on top of the new gun. Both do appear to be accurate to the film, however. There's some differences in the way it's designed and the way it looks. So I guess these are two different variants of the same gun. So I guess kudos to NECA for not just reusing this sculpt for the new weapon. The string, the knot itself seems to be glued, which is good. And the knot seems to be of decent quality. I would pay attention, take care with it, because it could come undone, I think, if you were careless with it. My big gripe is that it attaches on this side inside the trench coat. Now in the movie, what Reese does is he puts the loop over the end of the gun and the other loop over this shoulder. And he holds it on that side. It makes total sense. He holds it with the right hand primarily, just supporting it with the left. He tucks it into this side of his coat. So overall, it should be connected, at least glued into the coat on this side. Now what I did with mine is I took it and I looped it around behind him. I wormed its way up, and you just have to kind of work it in there, and got it so that it was dangling off this side of the figure. So it takes a little work, but you can get it kind of where it's supposed to go. But it just begs the question, why wasn't it closer to where it should be to begin with? Now, between all these Terminator figures and the Evil Dead line, you'd think NECA would be a pro at these shotguns, but I have some more issues with it. It's hard to get it into the hand with that knot on there. It's hard to work it around that. The trigger guard seems a little more robust than Ash's shotgun, which is good. But to get his hand underneath the whatever you call that, I don't even know what you call it. I don't know anything about guns at all. But yeah, there. That's obviously where his hand's supposed to go. And to get it anywhere vaguely near that and looking correct, you have to take this finger out of the trigger. So you really can't get him looking quite right either way. Maybe if I mess with it some more, I can get it how I want it. But I'm definitely having some issues with it. Another issue I have with this figure is the face doesn't really remind me of Michael Biehn, Kyle Reese at all. I don't feel like the hair is quite right. The 5 o'clock shadow is okay, but not phenomenal. I don't know. I think he had some more hair product in his hair from the future than he does on this figure. He definitely had more stylized hair. This almost looks like the Arnold haircut with just some minor changes. He has that very heavy dry brushing on there, which I'm not sure if I like on this figure. It just doesn't give it the right look from the movie. Another gripe I have with this, I think I forgot to mention on the Arnold, but he had it as well. Maybe it's just because he only has one eye. But the eyes on these figures seem to just be flesh tone with the pupil painted in. There's no real whites of their eyes, which is a little obnoxious. It's a serviceable head sculpt, and I'll be curious to see what the Hicks head sculpt looks like later on. I wonder if they'll capture a better likeness, or I wonder if it'll be a very similar head sculpt to this. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Reese has his gray shirt on underneath his green trench coat. Trench coat's pretty well done. I do like it. I feel like there's some customizable options with this. Like if you want to use this for another figure, you could probably do some cool customizing. Not too bad looking. I really do dig it. The sleeves are nicely done. Not a whole lot of color variation. It's a pretty clean coat. He's got buttons on his wrist there and everything. One weird thing about his shirt is it doesn't go all the way around. If we peel back his coat, you can see the shirt is just the front of a shirt, like a facade of a shirt. It's not really all the way there. Kind of odd. Kind of a very strange choice. It helps with the articulation and the look, but it just seems so odd when you try to move him around. Sometimes you get flesh coming out behind the coat. His pants are his dirty, messed up hobo pants. Some nice paint splatters on them, some nice grimy detail. And of course his really cool 1980s stereotypical shoes. You gotta love these. You just gotta love them. I love that NECA did get all the detail into these that I feel like they needed. For articulation, he has a ball-jointed head. Unlike a lot of the Terminator figures, his is actually in his head and not at the base of his neck. There's a pin and socket joint in his arm, so forward and back, turn around. The coat is rubberized, so you're pretty good there. He has a bend in the elbow, which is a pretty good bend, basically almost a 90-degree bend. You can also swivel. Ball-jointed wrist. You have like the mid-torso joint up here, kind of similar to Ash and Freddy Krueger. It's like right up in here. You can see it very easily because his shirt comes off. It also means you can rotate him like a waist joint would be. And then you can swivel at the feet. Now I remember the prototypes of this figure, they were looking to give him leg articulation, and that just didn't pan out, I guess. It's funny, because I don't feel like I have a whole lot of good things to say about this figure. I feel like I've been pretty harsh when it comes to this review. And I think even if I was to watch this review, I'd probably say, okay, well the obvious conclusion is a not recommend on this guy. But I've been waiting for this figure for so long, and I think in the overall scheme of the collection, I am thrilled to have a new figure in this line. Granted, this figure isn't the best, but I think when I get him up there with my other Terminator figures, I'm going to be thrilled that I have him. Really, to this point, we've only had 2 or 3 characters in the line, depending on how you look at it. Really only 2, because we've had a T-800 and we've had a T-1000. Now, granted, we've gotten 2 different versions or eras of the T-800, so maybe you can call that 2 different figures. And we've gotten some endoskeletons of T-800, so maybe if you wanted to stretch really far, you could say we've had 4 figures in this line. But even at that, making 5 in a series that's been going on as long as this Terminator line, it's a little strange that it's taken this long to get this far. But either way, I think I'm happy to have this Kyle Reese in my collection, and I do hope they do some later versions of Kyle Reese from different parts of the movie. I think I'd like that. A Final Battle Kyle Reese at least would be very much appreciated. I do wish instead of the little Sarah Connor photograph, which makes no sense because he would not have had that in modern day, they would have saved it maybe for a future war version of Kyle Reese, which I would have been totally game for. Maybe they could have given him a revolver or something else. That would have been really cool. Definitely would have been what I felt would be appropriate for this character. Because he has several revolvers over the course of the movie, if I remember correctly. Now, this gun is the iconic one. Obviously, it's kind of stuck on him for most of the movie. So that would work out. But yeah, maybe a Final Battle one, you can give him a little pipe bomb. Future War version, you can give him a laser pistol or something. It'd be cool. You could do some cool things now that you've opened up the bottle on this guy. So hopefully NECA will give us a few more Kyles before they inevitably end this line, I guess. Because kind of running out of steam on the Terminator front. There's not a whole lot more places they can really go, which is a little sad. little disappointing on this collector's end, because I do love these figures, I do love the movies, and even if they go to do Terminator 3 or Terminator Salvation, I'm not going to have as much love for those figures as I do for these guys, just out of pure nostalgic reasons. One other random request I would have from NECA, and I know I'm very demanding of NECA in these videos because I love their stuff and I just want more and more and more, but another thing I would love to see them put out would be the other Terminator, the future Terminator you see. It's the only T-800, or we assume it's a T-800, played by someone other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think it was his workout buddy or his coach or something. It was a friend of Arnold's, another big built guy. And I don't know how hard it would be to get the likeness to him. You don't really see much of him in the film. I think it'd be cool to have a Terminator version of him just as something else to pad out the line. Make sure you check out Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. Seriously, if you can come up with a way to keep that picture not from being destroyed, definitely put it in the comments below or send it to me on Facebook. I don't know, if you come up with a good one, I use it, I'll make sure I post pictures on Facebook of what I do with it. Definitely, for sure, or even if I come up with something. And until next time, hasta la vista, viewers.